What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Les Alex here. Today, we are going to be checking out Ruby Storm in Modern. That's right, we are switching gears. I know I've been talking a ton about Pioneer and Explorer, but Modern Horizons 3 is here, and holy smokes, this is a deck that I am super stoked for. But before we get started, before we jump into this video, make sure if you enjoy it, like, comment what you enjoyed about it and what you think about this deck list, and of course subscribe. Additionally, I just made it possible for you to support my content directly here on YouTube by becoming a member. For as low as a cup of coffee, you can support my content here on YouTube. You don't have to go to Patreon or any other websites. Become a member and you get access to all my videos before they release. And of course, you get emotes and live chat features. Check that out. I appreciate everybody that has considered doing it and will do it in the future. But with all that housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's take a look at Ruby Storm. So, what is Ruby Storm? Well, it is a mono red version of Storm. Now, traditional Storm decks in the past in Modern have been centered around gifts ungiven. No blue in this deck. I know it breaks my heart, but holy smokes, did Modern Horizons 3 give Storm players just a ton of support with a lot of cards we're about to talk about. We are playing some green cards in the sideboard, and we are playing Stomping Grounds and Commercial District. But other than that, this is completely mono red. So let's get into it and see what all the fuss is about with Ruby Storm. We've got Dragon's Rage Channeler, of course. When you're casting non-creature spells, you get to Surveil, and then when she's delirious, you get a 3/3 attacking. You know, you actually get to put pressure on your opponent with your creatures, which is something that, well, traditional Gift Storm cannot do. But let's talk also, before we get into individual cards, let's talk why this deck is even playable. And shout out to Mythlond, who 5-0'd with this deck on Magic Online. This exact same 75. We have Ruby Medallion. Ruby Medallion is a card that in Legacy Ruby Storm has helped propel it. But here in Modern, yes, this is essentially another bear, and additionally, we did get an actual factual bear in Ral Monsoon Mage. If you don't know, though, let me talk about Ruby Medallion. It is a 2-mana artifact that makes your red spells cost 1 less to play, which means it's not as vulnerable as the other bears. You know, you've got Baral and the other bears that make your spells cost 1 less. Well, this is an artifact, so it doesn't die to removal. Yes, the age-old argument. It does not die to removal. And then we've got Ral Monsoon Mage, and this might be right here. This right here might be the hotness that this deck, no pun intended, that this deck has been looking for. It is a 2-mana 1/3. Legendary creature, human, wizard, mythic. Instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less to pay. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. An old Ral Zarek trick. If you lose the flip, it deals 1 damage to you. But if you win the flip, you may, which is very important, exile Ral. If you do, return him to the battlefield under your control. And then he flips into Ral Leyline Prodigy. And Ral Leyline Prodigy has 2 loyalty starting off. And Ral Leyline Prodigy enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant and sorcery spell you cast this turn. Let's pause and think about this. You may. So you can cast how many? You can cast 6 spells in a turn and immediately ultimate this Ral, this Planeswalker. Let's take a look at the other abilities on here. Uptick says, until your next turn, instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less, so it's just basically the passive that's on the front side. -2, Ral deals 2 damage as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. So you're never going to control a blue permanent in this deck. Probably not using that ability much in this deck. And then -8. This is the doozy. This is the big one. This is the one you want to be able to do the turn you flip it. Because it says, exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant spell sorceries from among them this turn without paying their mana cost. That means free storm, folks. Just free storm. If you get to flip this guy and ultimate him in the same turn, you just do it. You just win. You just have no issues. So Ral is really, in my opinion, the card that is setting this deck into the stratosphere and even possible. Moving on, though, we do have some more notables from Modern Horizons 3. You know, the funny thing about Modern Horizons 3, they made a lot of older decks kind of get a lot of support. So, Glimpse the Impossible is a 3-mana sorcery. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. At the beginning of the next end step, if any of those cards remain exile, put them into your graveyard. Then create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token for each card put into the graveyard this way. Those tokens have sacrifice it, add a colorless. So all upside, all gas, no breaks. This card seems pretty sick. I definitely see where the application comes in. And yeah, it digs you deeper, and if you can cast them that turn, then you cast them. And on the off chance you can't, well, then you just get free mana for future turns. We've still got 1 Grape Shot. That's still how we win this game, this match, typically. 4 Passive Flames. You can't just play 1 anymore because you don't have Gifts Ungiven, unfortunately. So you have to play 4 Gifts Ungiven. Reckless Impulse. Hopefully this is going to cost 1 mana. You get to exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. And then we've got Rin's Resolve. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Yes, these double trouble. You know, these cards are pretty much the same exact card. And when you're casting them for 1 mana, just phenomenal. Then we've got all of our rituals right here. Desperate, Pyretic, and of course Manamorphose. This is how we're going to gain Storm and not run out of mana. And then in the artifact slot, we've got Ruby Medallion, the namesake of the deck. And then we've got a brand new card, Unstable Amulet. This is a 2-mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. When you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Unstable Amulet deals 1 damage to each opponent. So, and then you can tap it, pay 2 energy, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until you exile another card with Unstable Amulet. So Rin's Resolve and Reckless Impulse obviously making this card kind of cracked. You can do a lot of crazy things. And of course, Glimpse the Impossible also getting cards in exile. And it works well with Passive Flames when you flash it back. So holy smokes, guys, is this going to be a meta, a tier 1 deck in Modern? Let me know what you think below. We've got some lands, only 18 of them, just 1 Stomping Ground and 1 Commercial District. That's all the green you need. And then in the board, you still get Blood Moon. You still get to just end the game and get free wins occasionally. We got Empty the Warrens. It's still here against those matchups where, you know, you can't necessarily target your opponent. Then we got Goblin Archaeomancer, which is, of course, it just makes red and green spells cost 1 less to cast. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And then you got Jengatha as a beater if you need it, as a companion. Then you got Pick Your Poison and Veil of Summer, kind of a counter spell. against those grindy matchups. But yes, what do you think? I think this deck is sweet. It's everything I want to do in Modern right now. You know, a lot of fair decks are happening in Modern right now. A lot of decks that are trying to take you to turn 7 and 8. And although I am the control freak and I love playing long games, my guilty pleasure is playing Storm, combo killing people on turn 3. What do you think about Ral? What do you think about Ruby Medallion? If you enjoy the content, make sure to like, comment down below, and of course, subscribe. And if you want to go a step further and become a member, you'll get access to all my videos early. You'll get the emotes and be able to chat live. And yeah, I appreciate you all. And keep spreading that Ruby... I don't know, the Ruby propaganda. Thanks, everybody. Be kind to one another. Adios.